I had never envisioned this to be the full-time thing, right? I thought, okay, great. If I create a week of work every month, with a 2-hour event, fantastic. We support we help some families. So I thought whatever income we get, we can bless others or whatever. And it just turned into something else. And, the perfectionist, people pleaser in me, of course, I had a spreadsheet with my husband. I had to break out all the numbers. I had to kind of make the case for why I felt this was a fit. And so I think it's important for your listeners to know it doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. If you have a vision of where you want to go, and I think that was key for me when I started leaning into and understanding the power of this work for women globally and locally, and really vision casting. Well, what if? Just having fun with those questions. What if, this happened? Or what if I could do this full time? What if I could travel locally and globally? What if I could create this work for women to have time and financial freedom in the States here? I think getting curious about what lights you up and following that curiosity to see where it goes and where it leads you, because happiness is on the other side of fear. And I think if you keep following those little guidance systems, right? We talked about the chills a couple of times. I've learned to listen to that inner intuition or the God talks, right? Of like, when am I getting the chills around something? That's what you need to follow and grow into.
Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
We're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to another podcast episode. Today, you guys are in for a treat. We have a special guest. Monique and I are super excited to be on here with our new friend, Erin Attere. And Erin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You're here. And Monique, you and I are on this big mission to really just get in front of these and really bring to our audience some incredible women that are doing life-changing things in the direct sales industry. And Erin, you are one of those women. You are truly a kingdom-minded mompreneur. I'm so excited to get to hear a little bit more about your journey. She is a wife, a mom of 2 beautiful girls. She is really just leading a movement for women to live a life by design with greater purpose and joy. And I am so excited for us to unpack this and have this conversation today. So, Erin, welcome. I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey into direct sales and just kind of a little bit about who you are.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies. I love that you've created this platform for women to share and grow and learn and truly create impact around the globe. So, like many probably, I never envisioned my life in direct sales, right? Selling jewelry at parties, but I think God has a bigger plan for our lives than we even realize. So my story is that I joke I'm a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. All my life, I got the good grades, I went to school, got the good job, started a family, and I found myself making 6 figures and climbing the ladder and missing 3 of my daughter's first 4 birthdays because of business travel. And that mama guilt is real, right? It hurts. And every time I wasn't working in corporate, I was missing my family. And when I was with my family, I was thinking about all these things that I need to do with my job. And it really took a global pandemic to really help me reprioritize my life. I was in a meeting for 30 minutes discussing the word the versus a new promo piece for a new product launch. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm made for more. This is not it. This cannot be all. And luckily I had started with Threads Worldwide 2 years prior to that, very, very part-time, but I had fallen in love with the impact. I had fallen in love with the idea that we can create opportunities for women to leave the sex trade or not choose which kid eats for the day, because I sell jewelry and coach a team of women to do the same. And so I made a plan 2 years ago. I shared with my husband. I did some numbers. I said, I think I want to do this. Like, how would you feel if I started this work? And he's like, wait a minute, you want to leave this cush job to like sell jewelry at in-home parties? And I'm like, yes. And, I'm celebrating 2 years out of corporate America now. And now I'm so grateful for that change, because I truly feel like I live a life by design. I am in alignment with my values. I feel like I'm serving my mission, and my business is my really spiritual contribution. I've traveled to these countries, was to Bolivia to meet women who can leave the sex trade. I went to Guatemala to meet mamas who don't have to choose which kid eats for the day, and to see that kind of impact, and to lead women in the States to go and see their impact. And I started originally because of the mission, but now I see what's happening in women locally whose lives are transformed because they have more confidence, they have more financial freedom, they have a different, bigger vision of themselves because they're bigger than something that's just about them and their lives. They set examples for their kiddos to like follow their passion, make a difference in the world, think bigger, dream bigger. And I am just now so grateful for my experiences. And I'm leading a movement for women to live a life by design. We have been playing small for far too long. We've got these unique God-given gifts and talents, and we are meant to share them with the world. So that's my passion, that's my purpose, and I'm so grateful to share that with you today and unpack that a little bit in hopes of blessing someone else and inspiring them to create a life that they love.
Okay, I have chills. I don't like literally when you were speaking, I have chills. Obviously, God is speaking through you and using you big. Wow. So, Erin, you just came in hot. I'm like, okay, so let's unpack a little bit of this, because I love the fact that you are starting a movement. It's not just doing something, and this is interesting because I think, I look at what Becky and I do as well. And it's like, it's not just a job, right? You can't just go out and get any other job. Like when God gives you a call and a movement, you have to step into that faithfully. So I love that you listen to that call. And I'm thinking the people who are listening to this podcast, they may not know about Threads. There's a lot of other companies that are very well known, and Threads is not really as well known. And so I'd love for you to even just share, because you are part of that movement, is what do you guys do? What is the company about? If you can share with us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, I would love to. And Monique, you're right? All the businesses, direct sales, network marketing, they all have the potential to be that vehicle to create that life that we love. And so you got to find the one that speaks to you and speaks to your heart most. And so for me, that's Threads Worldwide. We are a tiny company, less than 100 people in the entire United States. We're literally launching states. Like I'm literally looking for leaders across the US to grow us into our potential, which is so exciting. And really, we are all about creating life-changing work for women around the globe. And what that looks like is we partner with cooperatives in 8 different countries, and women in different countries, like, Sophia in this photograph here, hand make these beautiful pieces, like jewelry that you would shop anyway, right? We all love pretty things, whether it be earrings, necklaces. This bracelet is made out of bullet shell casings. So in Ethiopia, they turn war and violence, leave it to women to turn war something beautiful, so that our customers, when they shop, they know that they are creating life-changing work, and they know that they can wear a piece that has a story. You think you're having a hard day, put on your bullet bracelet and know that you can do hard things,
Wow.
And so I'm just about our company was founded by 3 women who just traveled the world. They saw extreme poverty. They didn't know anything international business or direct sales. They didn't even wear jewelry. They were like volleyball players who met at Tufts, right? And so they just had hearts to make change. And I think that's so important. When you find something that you don't like in the world, don't just witness it, be a part of creating something different. And so that's what I love about our company, is that our founders are so heart-centered. They're so about impact, and we are small and mighty. We are growing up. People love our mission. People love our pieces. And our community is just all about celebration and encouragement. I lead women who have left corporate jobs to match that income, or women who just work part-time. They do 1 2-hour event a month to bring in extra income to take their kids to Disney or pay that bill or whatever that is. So total time and freedom flexibility.
Oh, wow. I mean, that is just incredible. And you mentioned earlier that you have been able to travel to some of these places and actually witness like or have you been able to connect and meet with some of these women that are a part of this? I would love to hear about that. I mean, because I've been on a couple of mission trips to like Honduras, and it was life-changing as a teenager for me, right? Kind of put things into perspective. But how cool that you were able to experience that. I would love to hear, was there anything like a specific story or anything you'd love to share about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely, Becky. And so I get the chills just thinking about our trips. For incentive trips, you can earn these trips, right? And the goal is that our founders want us to experience these things. So you can earn like a buy-in or all in for two. There's different levels, right? And so it's very affordable. I've already earned Uganda for next year in the month of January. Like it's very, very doable, right? And my husband, I always earn for two. And so my husband actually gets to travel with me. So he's also been to Bolivia and Guatemala. We leave for Vietnam in April, and we're going to Uganda next year. And so it's one thing, Becky, to say, like, I create work so that women can leave the sex trade. And it's another thing to literally eat a meal with someone who shares her story for the first time in her life. When we were in Bolivia, there was a mama who was a mama of three. And I'm going to try not to cry.
I know,
She
I'm over
literally
here
had to lock
crying.
her.
I'm like, I wasn't even there. And you're just telling me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go buy some
Yeah.
jewelry.
Girl. Well, that's the thing. You could change lives by shopping. Are you kidding me? Like what? And literally, we heard her story. You know, our team travels together in these trips, and they're beautiful experiences. You experience the culture and the food and all the things, but also you connect with women and you understand at a heart level like what transformation looks like. So for this one woman who used to have to literally lock her children in her home, her three children at night, would pray for their safety while she goes off and services 10, 20 men, right? I mean, it's so crazy to think about in our lives how much we take for granted, and to know that this woman is able to leave the brothels. This woman is able to speak about her work in a way that she is prideful. She's creating something that is so beautiful and meaningful. And that's because my team and I sell jewelry. This is transformational, and there's so much behind it. Even the way that they create these products, like the sewing machines, there's like healing, 3 years of creating products can actually work through decades of trauma for these women. And they have community in each other, right? These are women who she shared stories of, now she has other women that she can lean on, and they have healthcare and like all these other benefits that go beyond just an income. They have support and love and pride and just a dignified lifestyle. And the thing is, while we're creating these blessings for her, she's creating blessings for me. Like I would have been stuck in that corporate job, hating Mondays and Sundays even, right? But because it's this full partnership, it's not we're saving anyone. It's literally we create work for each other. And I just love that concept of women empowering women. We have these threads, family values, and together we rise is the first one, because we truly believe that we are better together.
Wow, that's incredible. So you shared that, you went from this corporate background to transitioning, and you shared with your husband, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we know that it wasn't, we know, yeah, bless his heart. It's like for those of us who are visionaries and dreamers, we're like, okay, we have this plan. So just stick tight with the plan. So I would love to take us through that journey of, it sounds easy when you're like, oh, I was able to just leave this and go into this, but we know business is hard. We know building a network marketing business can be challenging. Obviously, the work that you do has its own set of challenges because you are literally working with people in other countries. You're working alongside people who are coming out of prostitution, those kinds of things. I'm sure there are so many challenges. Can you share with us about what were some of the difficult aspects and how did you keep pushing through?
Yeah, great question. And I am so glad that you're asking that, because I think it can be so easy for us to look at success and assume it was overnight and see these stories of transformation of like, oh, well, why am I not there? Why am I not, and kind of look at the gap instead of the gain. And it absolutely is a journey for each and every one of us. I had never envisioned this to be the full-time thing, right? I thought, okay, great. If I create a week of work every month, with a 2-hour event, fantastic. We support we help some families. So I thought whatever income we get, we can bless others or whatever. And it just turned into something else. And, the perfectionist people pleaser in me, of course, I had a spreadsheet with my husband. I had to break out all the numbers. I had to kind of make the case for why I felt this was a fit. And so I think it's important for your listeners to know it doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. If you have a vision of where you want to go, and I think that was key for me when I started leaning into and understanding the power of this work for women globally and locally, and really vision casting. Well, what if, just having fun with those questions? What if, this happened? Or what if I could do this full time? What if I could travel locally and globally? What if I could create this work for women to have time and financial freedom in the States here? I think getting curious about what lights you up and following that curiosity to see where it goes and where it leads you, because happiness is on the other side of fear. And I think if you keep following that, those little guidance systems, right? We talked about the chills a couple of times. I've learned to listen to that inner intuition or the God talks, right? Of like, when am I getting the chills around something? That's what you need to follow and grow into. And I think for me, so much of my mindset was such a big block. I thought for so long as a perfectionist, I have to do everything and I have to do it right. And once I started letting go, and honestly, this is where my faith came in a lot, of just surrender and trust. And God, what do I need to know? What do I need to work on? Who do I need to become? And I think that's the greatest work that you can do, is the work on yourself, understanding where are your strengths and where are your challenges, because we hold ourselves back, right? If we don't think it's possible, or if hearing no is scary, and guess what? We work in sales. You got to hear no, right? So until you become, no one loves hearing no, but you don't take it personal, right? Until you kind of shed those layers that you attach with yourself to the answer or the response. There's just a lot of inner work in that journey. So I think just knowing the vision, seeing where you're going, making a plan, doing inner work for you to believe that is possible for your life, and to work on those things that are serving you well, leaning into those gifts, but also understanding where you need to work on, whether that be, understanding the no, or just kind of being okay to try and fail. I think that's the biggest thing as a recovering perfectionist. It was hard for me to try and fail because I don't like failure. I like it to be great, number one, the first try. And the truth is, in anything in life, that's not going to happen, right? You don't learn a bike overnight. You don't learn how to do that. You need to keep practicing, and it gets better and easier. And I look back at the things that used to hold me back, and I'm like, gosh, I did that daily now. Why was I so in my head about that? And it's so fun to look back too. And that's one of my tips for your listeners, is just to look at what you've accomplished. Because I think we can be so hard on ourselves when we have big dreams if we're not there overnight. But when you look back at how far you've come, even in a month or a week or a year, right, you really see you have accomplished a lot. And that just provides that confidence and motivation to keep going and keep striving for bigger and better.
So good. I mean, obviously, and I'm sure the women listening would agree with me, you are just this, I guess, embodiment of happiness and joy, and just such a light. Like, you really are a light to this industry. I am loving listening to you. And you said happiness is on the other side of fear. And I kind of want to tap into this conversation for a minute, because I think we all, right, whether it's self-imposed doubts or, fear, or just from the outside, right? Life circumstances, maybe health or trauma or whatever, happens that can cause us to kind of become paralyzed or struggle mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it might be. And I would love for you to share a little bit about, you mentioned before we hit record, happiness habit, right? And I think we all have days when we don't feel like doing the thing, but right, that in order to get to a level of success that any level really that we desire, it calls for showing up every day, sometimes when we don't feel like it. And you just seem like such a bright light. And I would love to hear, what does that look like for you? How are you able to show up with such energy and excitement and passion, even maybe on those days you don't feel like it?
Yeah, great question, Becky. And honestly, I think it was part of my journey, and I've come to realize we create our lives. We have so much power that we don't even tap into. And instead of waiting on your circumstances on the day, what the weather is going to look like, who's cutting you off in traffic, what's happening here or there, I believe so passionately that we can create happiness in our lives in both big and small ways. And I appreciate you saying that I'm a light now. I think that during COVID, I just went through this transformation, girl. It was rough. Let me keep it real. I think we all had our breakthroughs, breakdowns, right? All the moments. And it was a struggle. I was working in a corporate job that I hated. I was doing e-learning with a kindergartner and then a little toddler. our nanny quit and like all the things. It was just like, oh my God, I realized in that moment that self-care wasn't something that a massage every 6 months, right? It was like a fundamental need that I needed to build into my day. And so I started doing a miracle morning practice. I started doing more reflection. I started beginning each day with me, which I highly recommend for anyone who's listening. Once you fill your cup up first, then you can pour into others. And through that learning and shedding process and growth process, I learned to really connect with myself. I learned who I am. I learned what I wanted in life. And I think in terms of happiness, sometimes we forget, kids create joy. They are in the parking lot, walking on the lines outside of the grocery store, right? I mean, my kids are such amazing pieces of inspiration and they don't have to try. But I think as adults, we fall into this where we have to do all the adulting things. We have to pay the bills, we have to work, we have to do all the things, and we forget to make happiness part of our day. And so I actually created a gift I would love to give your audience that is really 3 simple steps that you can do daily, right? These were transformational things as I went from that journey of like, intense COVID time into now where I create my life by design, and I encourage others to do the same. 3 simple steps to really live intentionally and do the things that light you up. Mamas, I think sometimes we feel guilty if we're doing something for ourselves or we're doing something to bring ourselves joy. But the truth is we become better wives, better moms, better women in the world when we really lean into our joy and we create that, right? Because it makes us shine brighter, which can light up others.
Oh, that's so good. And it all goes back to our mindset. Like we can choose, our circumstances, exactly what you said, our circumstances do not have to be perfect for us to find joy and to find happiness. We can be in hard circumstances and still find joy through that. So I love that you said that. And even going back to your statement earlier about accepting the no's, I think that's another part of choosing that joy, like having that mindset that's like, okay, what do I interpret from this? Because for a lot of people, when they hear no, they internalize it. They think something's wrong with me. They think, oh, this isn't for me. I'm not a good salesperson, yada, yada, whatever other story they want to tell themselves, versus choosing to know their purpose, to know their calling, to know what it is that they're doing and being confident in that. I always equate it to if someone had the cure for cancer and they were going around sharing with people the cure for cancer, and if somebody tells them no, you think to yourself, well, man, that's really sad that this person doesn't want what I have that I know can help them, but on to the next person, right? Like you're not sitting there taking it as a personal thing. And so I love that you shared that about the no's, because I really think for our audience, they need to lean into that and recognize like this is part of success. Is you're going to hear more no's than you hear yeses. And if you can prepare yourself mentally for that and, prepare yourself for, hey, if I get up and life is hard today, or this challenge comes up, or when you were describing your 2020, the nanny quit, I had to teach my kindergartner I remember when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot about the e-learning. Yeah, I had 3. Oh yes, I had 3 that were literally, we're like, okay, trying to separate everybody, whatever. Anyway, my point is that our mindset, I love that you shared that because I think our mindset plays a huge piece in that. Could you also share with us a little more about your faith and how that plays into who you are, how that plays into your motherhood, how that plays into your business?
Absolutely. Well, and just one thing to add on mindset, Monique, because I think that's such an important point. Becky, actually, I'm grateful for you, Becky. I met Becky last month. She was a guest on, we had an expert panel at our annual conference. When I say annual conference, again, we're tiny. We rented out all the rooms at the 9-Watt Inn and Spa, like 22 rooms or something, right? It was such a beautiful conference. But Becky had shared her words of wisdom, and mindset is so powerful. I think myself and my team had all this like trash around team building and like, oh, you don't want to be icky, but like really making it fun to team build. And now it's become this exercise. I have recruited the same number of people I did all last year, right now on February 13th, right? So this time of the year, I've already recruited the number of people that I did an entire year. And that was because of a mindset shift. And
so what was that shift for you? What was the difference between last year?
Last year, I think honestly, the faith and the confidence that I've had in growing my business and knowing that I have something of value to offer, seeing how it's transformed my life, the lives of my team. So part of it is proof, but also part of it was just like making it fun. Like when you invite someone into something that adds value, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And if you can disconnect from the no and the answer, then that's everything. But when you lead with like, look, my vision, we're going to 10x our impact so that women can leave the sex trade and not choose which kid eats for the day. And I'm thinking about women who I want to do this work with, who are fun, women who want to travel, women who have big dreams for themselves and for their families and for the world. And I'm thinking about you because XYZ, I see you as someone who, you're speaking into that and that compliment of really, that's the thing, right? People are held back sometimes because they don't know that they can be successful. And when you think about people who now in team building, my approach has totally changed from, ooh, who can I invite to be on my team into who can I serve? Who can I really have fun with and want to do this work with? Because it is such a blessing. And who can I really do alongside this where I know they are going to get value? And that's a very different conversation versus, hey, will you join my team, right? That's a very, very different. And people have said, yes, awesome. They join my team. People who say no, they're like, oh, it's not for me. But thank you for thinking about me. I appreciate that you saw me as, someone who you might want to do this alongside of. And so that has been a very important shift for myself and for my team too. Like my leaders are coming up and it's so fun to be growing in this very fast way together.
I love that.
But going to your question on faith, Monique, my faith has actually grown so much since I left corporate America. I think that, I've always been a little bit, I've been faithful throughout my life, but it hasn't been where I've needed to, I don't know how to say this probably. I didn't feel like I needed to fully surrender before. And when you leave the golden handcuffs of a very nice, steady, bi-weekly paycheck to go off on your own without any sales experience or team building experience, or even with a company that didn't necessarily have the tools and resources at the time to easily train people. Before when we used to onboard, it was a 4-hour in-person training with someone. And now we've got videos. Like, can you imagine? It was just a lot rougher of a road. And I think now we're set up for full success. And that's why I've been seeing that. But I had to lean a lot into my faith. And actually, I start every morning in prayer. I start every morning in intention. I start every morning asking, God, who can I serve today? Who can I bless, right? Who am I meant to reach out to, whether that be with my business or just in general? And I think that when your business becomes your spiritual practice, it's such a beautiful way to live because you are living in ease and flow and passion. And work doesn't feel like work when you know that what you're doing is truly changing lives, like yours, but also women globally and locally. And so my faith has been that rock of every time I have a new hurdle, how am I going to accomplish this? Or, that transition from corporate to like unsteady income. Some months are bigger than others, right? And so just really praying and knowing that he's always provided, he has a plan. And even in the moments that I think are rough, there's growth there. That's the opportunity where I'm meant to learn something or become something or bless someone. And so I really approach every challenge now as, okay, God, this is something heavy, right? Help me through this. What is it that I am meant to do or be or grow from this experience? So leaning in faith has been huge on my journey.
So good. I love hearing that. And I'm curious too, obviously your confidence in what you are able to do and how you're able to help others, and probably the fruit that God has been showing you as you've walked through this journey has drastically grown, right? Since you have had to walk away and from that corporate career. But I would love to know, how has your husband been impacted, right? I'm kind of curious, like what, because initially he was probably like, excuse me, what, like, what is this? What is this thing you're wanting to do? And then, I'm sure over time, you're showing the proof's in the pudding kind of thing. But I'm curious too, like even, he's been able to travel with you to some of these places. Do you feel like his heart has been softened and he's become passionate about what you're doing, and kind of what does that look like?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm so blessed. My husband is just my life partner. I truly feel like we are meant to do life together. And so he's always been a supporter. At first he was kind of like, wait, what are you doing? But he's always had, he knows me and he knows that I would never put our family in financial risk or do things and not show up. Right. And so I'm very blessed that he's been supportive, somewhat cautious and a little bit like, let's figure out the plan, but he's always been interested in supporting me because he sees how passionate I am about the work that I do. And so it started from like okay, let's see how this works, a little bit more cautious, into now, after we first came back from Guatemala was the first trip that he came on me with. And it was such a beautiful experience because you meditate on Lake Atitlan with the volcanoes in the background, and you do dream circles, right? And draw out your dreams and share, because collective dreams are unstoppable. Like, you have these experiences. And he met kids who can go to school now and eat, right? Because of the work that I do. And so he came back from that trip and he said, Erin, I originally supported you in this work because I knew that this lit you up and that's what you wanted to do. But he says, now you need to grow this company for these women, for these families. Like, it's not just about me anymore. He sees the impact, he sees the transformation, he sees the possibilities. And so he's all in. And one of the most powerful moments that we had in Guatemala is we think about the women, but we don't think about the men oftentimes, right? And so women in Guatemala, girls typically get married around 13, 14, start having babies. And so education is not highly valued because typically they move in with their in-laws very young in life. And the leader of the cooperative, Santos, it was a big deal for her to take on this leadership role. They received a lot of drama and flack from the community because you're frowned upon, right? Well, your husband can't provide. Like, why are you going off making your own income? Why do you need to make income, right? And for Jerry as a man to speak to her husband after he had received so much ridicule and hate from the community about what was happening with his wife, and he started to eventually understand the value of doing this work. But for him to hear from Jerry about how, and there's translators, right? But Jerry, how he supported his wife and my business, and my passion and my dreams, and how amazing that is as a husband, for him to hear that from another male for the first time ever was like changing for him, because he got validation for all the work that he'd been doing to support his wife and making their life changes possible. So for my husband to be the man to have that conversation, he gets it. He's all in. He's so excited. Yeah.
What an amazing experience that you guys were able to do that together. So I'm also curious, because you shared at the beginning about you felt this mom guilt for missing part of your girls' lives. You have these two beautiful daughters. Tell us a little bit more about, what does life look like now? Like, what does motherhood look like in this season? How are you able to be more present?
Well, you can try to make me cry, girl. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because people thank me for this work, but the truth is I'm the lucky one. Instead of missing my kids' birthdays, last week I was able to go to Amaya, my kindergartner, her classroom to be a mystery reader at 3:00 in the afternoon, right? And so those are the moments I will never miss again. I will always be the volunteer mom. I will always be the mom who's pouring into my kids. We do soul journeys where even if you don't work at Threads, you can travel with us to Guatemala. And so I took my 8-year-old daughter, my oldest, to Guatemala. So she has, because I do this work, she has traveled and experienced culture. She's learning Spanish. We're doing Duolingo. So almost a year now, we've been learning Spanish together. She did a dream circle. And after we learned about regenerative farming and how a chicken and a little plot of land can like transform communities, she drew a dream that she wants to become a farmer so she can give away food so that nobody will starve in this world. Like, who I have become has not just changed my life and my husband's life, it's changed the future of my kids. My kids see themselves as confident and brave and knowing that they can do things. They know that they can make a difference in the things that they're not happy with in the world. They see their mom showing up as a business owner. They see me showing up as a mom who's active. And the thing is, it's not just about physical time together. Like, even when I had physical time with my kids when I was in corporate, I was like distracted and like thinking about all the things. Like, when I'm with my kids and my husband, I'm with my family. Like, there's not like this mixed part of me that's thinking I should be somewhere else doing something else. And so I think that some of the biggest gifts that I've given to them are just my presence and encouraging them to dream big and not think small and really pour into who they are. And because I live so intentionally now with the Life by Design, I think about what I want my kids to learn. And it's not get the straight A's. It's not like those things are important, right? To like work hard and all those things, but it's really follow your passion, follow your joy. What are your gifts? How did God give us all unique gifts and talents? What are yours? And really pouring into that. And I think that's the best way that we can serve our kids, is make sure that they know that they are loved by us, they are loved by God, and they belong. And so we actually, I'm crafting right now a program for next year where we're going to have a girls program, because confidence dips at age 9, right? That's the highest we ever. So how do we prevent kids from having to, decondition and work past trauma? How do we just create kids who just know who they are in this very beautiful way? And so we're going to do these trips to Guatemala, but also have community that we're building surround sound. So when they come back home, they know that they are connected and belong and supported. And we're doing that for women too. Women need that. We're doing a Wing Woman trip to Guatemala in August, because when we come back from these trips, there's a teenager
I
who
need
came
to
back.
go on this trip. I need to go to.
Girl, yeah. Well, and they're
Right.
changing, right? Teenager, we're going in August. Becky, come, girl. Bring
I
your
know. I'm
women.
over here send me the information when we get off of
Yeah.
here. Anyway, sorry, interrupted.
No, anyone is welcome to. Honestly, we're doing an event for International Women's Day in Chicago next month to really talk about wing women, because a wing woman is there. A wing woman is your hype girl. A wing woman who sees you and helps you remember how amazing you truly are. And so we want to know wing women. We want to be them. And we want to raise them. And so that's exactly the vision of how do we support each other in this amazing, beautiful way. And so those trips are just one avenue, and just like part of the really cool things that we're doing that just really help women connect with who they are and create a life that has purpose and has joy, right? That life by design.
Girl, I mean, let me just tell you, I'm over here fighting back tears like everything you say. And I'm just so excited for the women that we serve to listen to this, because you are such an inspiration. You're inspiring me. I'm so grateful, Beth, if you're listening to this. Thank you for connecting us, because you are really doing the thing. You are walking the walk. You are talking the talk. And, when we launched our membership, we have a membership as well as a podcast, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, we were thinking, how can we serve that woman? What is it that she needs? And I just love everything about what you're sharing. And anytime we interview a guest, we ask them to share, what does the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur mean to you? And I still want to ask this question, even though I feel like you've already pretty much answered it, because to me, your testimony and your story is the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. I mean, you are just incredible. I'm so grateful we've had this time with you, but I would love to hear, what does that name mean to you?
Yeah, thank you, Becky. And I think it's a great question. I love that title. I really believe that is a woman who knows who she is, and it's because she knows whose she is. I think it's a woman who understands what her unique God-given gifts and talents are, and she uses her business as a vehicle to live into that and to spread that to others and to be a light onto others, so that we can all be better together. I think that's absolutely really our blessing, right? Is to live in the full vision of who God created us to be, and to share that so we bring out the best in others.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Erin. This has been such a blessing to have this conversation. I know those who are listening on the podcast have so many takeaways and aha moments that they've gotten from things that you've shared. So if somebody is listening and they want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, great question. And I would love to connect. Thank you. Again, I love this platform. I think the more we can support and learn and grow from each other is beautiful, especially people who are further along in the journey. Like, I've learned so much from your past episodes. People, I would love to, you can reach out to me directly via email at Erin Attere at threadsww.com is the best way to reach out to me. I am also on LinkedIn with Erin Attere, and also on Insta and Facebook. So just search in those areas. And I would love to gift your audience to, maybe in the show notes or something, we can put access to that resource, because I truly feel like we have the opportunity to create a happiness habit, and you don't have to wait till one day. Make today day one, right? Really start that now. And so I would love to empower women to be that movement, to really create that life that they love.
Yes, perfect. Well, we will put all of that in the show notes. You guys make sure you go get that happiness habit freebie. Thank you so much for gifting us with that. And thanks for being on, Erin.
Thank you. And ladies, if anyone wants to shop, I forgot to mention my website too, right? So threadsworldwide.com/Erin Attere. If people love beautiful things, you want to bless others while you shop for yourself or for others as gifts, that would be great. And thank you so much today. Such a fun conversation, ladies.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.